The story I am about to share with you has been passed down through oral storytelling tradition for centuries. Because of that, there are no Polaroids. There were very few images that I could find, so I used still images from this wonderful video on YouTube with permission, and I highly recommend you all check it out because it is narrated by the sexiest butter-voiced man ever. Oh my God. So anyway, they think that this happened anywhere between the 11th and the 15th centuries, which is quite a fucking spread. But they've sort of narrowed it down to somewhere around the 12th century. Science. In the part of West Africa that we now call Ghana, there once was a region, or there is a region called Gambaga. And long ago in Gambaga, there was a mighty kingdom called Dagbon. And the people of Dagbon were called the Dagomba. The names in this story are so musical, feel free to say them with me. Dagomba. Now, Dagomba was ruled by a very wise, and prosperous man, King Nabanadega. And he was very wealthy. He had many wives, but his favorite wife was the beautiful Queen Napoko. And with Queen Napoko, he had a favorite child, his only daughter. Now, as this girl grew, she became tall and slender and graceful and more beautiful than any other girl in the entire kingdom. Because of her willowy yet strong frame, she came to be known as Princess Yennenga, meaning svelte. From a very early age, Princess Yennenga was unlike all the other girls of the kingdom. First of all, she had a really great relationship with all the animals, but especially the wild horses, which she seemed to have a unique ability to tame. She also showed great skill with weapons, with spear, with javelin, with bow. And despite it being an honor reserved for men, she begged her father, the king, to let her to ride the wild horses. And he agreed, because how could he possibly say no to that face? So she was given a stallion, which became her closest friend and dearest companion, and she trained with her brothers. So she proved more skillful in the art of war than all of her brothers. She was better on horseback, better with all the weaponry. So by the time she was 14 years old, she was the leader of her own battalion of the King's Royal Army. She was fierce and she was respected. She was respected and she defeated many of her kingdom's enemies in battle. So basically, in a word, she was a badass motherfucker. She was much beloved as well. And she was highly respected not only in her own kingdom, but by the neighboring kingdoms, by her enemies. She was afforded all the rights and responsibilities of the men, which was highly unusual considering the highly patriarchal structure of their culture. But as she entered her 20s, Yennenga watched the other young women around her marry and have children, and she longed for a child of her own. She longed for her own family. But the king said, "Oh, hell no. There is no way I am handing you over to some dude. You are too important to my kingdom, to my army, and to my needs." So Yennenga feared that her father would never release her and never allow her to marry. So she came up with a plan. she planted this glorious crop of wheat, and it grew golden and beautiful and strong. And when time came to harvest it, she allowed it to wither and die in the fields. And the field returned to dust. So when her father came to her and said, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you wasting such precious resources? We could have fed the village with that wheat." She said, "Father, I now am young and fertile, but you leave me as barren as the earth of this field." Mic drop. Well, the king was unmoved. He was unimpressed. He said, "Go to your room." And at that point, she was like, "Well, fuck, what am I going to do now? I thought for sure that would work." So she had no choice. One night, she mounted her horse and she rode north. She rode for miles and days. She rode through rivers and valleys, and she finally arrived exhausted in the camp of an elephant hunter by the name of Riale. Now, Riale had never seen a woman on horseback, especially not a woman in full military garb. So he assumed that she was a soldier, which was a common misunderstanding with Yennenga. She was so tall and she commanded such presence that many people mistook her for a dude when she was on horseback. So he let her go rest in his hut, and when she emerged, he realized that this was no guy. This was a beautiful young woman. And over time, he gained her trust, and she revealed who she was, and the two fell in love, and together they had a son, and his name was Ouedraogo. Although I think in West Africa, it was probably more like wildebeest, not ermine. So she had this boy, and as he grew, he was trained by his parents in the art of warfare, in the art of hunting. And when he got old enough, Yennenga decided that it was time to send him as a message back to her father. And as this strong young man approached the king's throne, the king thought he recognized something in him and said, "Young man, who are you?" And the boy said, "I am Ouedraogo. I am son of Yennenga. I am your grandson." Well, the king was overjoyed. He sent the boy back to his parents to bring them home. They were received back with open arms. All was forgiven. A great feast was held. And as he continued to grow, the king oversaw Ouedraogo's training. So when he reached full adulthood, he was given his own army and many livestock, and he rode north back to the place of his birth, which we now call Burkina Faso. Maps. Where the Mossi people still live today. They are the largest of 66 distinct ethnic groups in Burkina Faso. They make up 40% of the population. There are also Mossi people in Ghana and the Ivory Coast, and the name Ouedraogo is still the most common surname. Today, the Mossi honor Yennenga they honor her as their ancestral mother, and they continue to celebrate her in music and a lot in textiles, but mostly in sculpture. And there are sculptures of her all over, always depicting her on her beloved horse. The white stallion is the national symbol, and it is on Burkina Faso's coat of arms. Their national soccer team is nicknamed Les Étalons, which is French for the stallions, and the most prestigious award of the Pan-African Film and Television Festival is the Étalon de Yennenga. Yennenga's bloodline continues to thrive to this day, and it includes, check out this title, Her Royal Highness Princess Abzijigma. Damn. She herself is a total badass. Her resume is as long as a Walgreens receipt. And one thing in particular I really wanted to mention is she is the founder of the Mama Light Initiative for Restorable or Sustainable Energy. It's a worldwide program that provides access to affordable, sustainable energy for women, children, and small businesses in an effort to create gender equality and empower women. Like I said, she is a total fucking badass. The story of Yennenga is one of self-determination and agency. It's something that women, especially in that part of the world, are rarely afforded. Her badassery is still a source of strength to millions of women and to the men who respect them. So with that, I would like us to raise a glass. To the millions of women worldwide who inspire us, but especially to our Annetta. Thank you.